Okay, here we are again. This is number 2. This is like maybe more of a real one, but not necessarily because nobody's watching, so that's a good thing. We're doing it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if somebody watches in the future, whatever, but there's no pressure. We're just here, 2 entrepreneurs, dating forever, and we're going to talk about our journey. Where I'm Robert Patton. I am the CEO of Sheath Underwear. We're not going to talk too much. Well, we'll talk about that, but we're not going to promote our products all day. You know, We're going to talk about just the process of becoming an entrepreneur, why we became what we became, and
Maybe more why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I think we're figuring that part out maybe still. So, I'm Stacy. I am owner, inventor of koala bags. And so we both, have things happening, and we both went through a patent process and building. I'm in the process of just launching a company, and Bobby launched his company
a few times. I mean, it started technically in 2010, but I had a 3-year setback, so then we started again in 2013, but it was officially registered with the government in 2014 February, so only about 4 or 5 years, but we've had a lot of ups and downs. There's been plenty of times when maybe I could have just given up, but that was never going to happen. I was very determined from the beginning that I was going to stick it out for 20 years without pay.
So I think talk about maybe what's going on like right now, like today, what's going on right now, and then maybe draw a question or something.
I mean, I was just talking about how, this weekend I'm keynote speaking in Denver, and we're
10,000 people.
Yeah, and I'm going to be speaking at the boot camp entrepreneur inventor section, but I'm also going to be a judge at the event for new inventors. She will be one of the people being judged, but I will not be evaluating her because I'll be biased and she would win probably. It's a 3-day event. We just found that out. I thought it was a 1-day. Now it's 2 days, but... Are you
going to be there for 2 days?
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do.
2 days.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Well...
I don't know if it matters.
It doesn't matter.
But
we're going to... So it's an offshoot of the Inventors Roundtable. I believe there's going to be a bunch of inventors there. Go to my Facebook page or something if you want to.
Yeah, I don't even know where my phone's at. Maybe we'll update next time.
Not you, them.
But what are they even?
What is it called?
Robert Patton.
Facebook.
I
didn't even get the email.
Another thing is the inventory.
Right. So, we got our inventory on Friday. 74 cartons. It's like 20 to 20,000 pairs, and so we were missing a box, and I called my manufacturer and was very mean to them, telling them that they had missed a box and that we needed that inventory. And then this morning I found out that my guys just overlooked that box and they actually found it, so I had to apologize.
All right, so here it is. It's the Denver Market Fair. It's the Colorado Inventors Showcase Market Fair in Denver. They're expecting 10,000 people. It is the largest inventors showcase in Colorado. And they're doing stuff with STEM, too, and teachers and other people that are somewhere along the patent design, sourcing, whatever. What you're going to be judging for, I believe, are people that have prototypes and or where I'm at, maybe a little ahead of me or a little behind me, and that's what I think that's about.
So there's going to be a bunch of inventors there, and we're all going to share our experiences in that process. I will be sharing mine, and I haven't even started.
Be live streaming it too, so in front of everybody. I'll be there. It's an hour. I'm talking for an hour in front of people, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be very scattered. I have ADD, I think, and it's hard for me to
PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's how I'm gonna keep it in order, is by putting together a presentation so that I stay on track, because my thoughts are not linear, unfortunately, but that's because I have a creative mind.
Maybe we'll upload it too, because you're going to be doing Instagram, Facebook on your personal thing, and maybe we'll upload it on this, whatever, if it's maybe...
Nobody's even going to see this until well after this event
One person has seen it, Tara.
Yeah, and you showed it to her.
Has seen it, yeah. What's new with me right now, I get, I need to...
Do your taxes?
I need to do I have till the 20th.
Quarterly tax reports.
I need to do my quarterly tax reports. I'm currently in pre-production right now with bags, just black bags, and I need to get some more of my custom magnets done. That's been on the list for like a couple weeks. I need to do that and just clean up some stuff and I've not been doing much with
because you have a full-time job
currently,
and I do Sheath full-time, and you do Koala part-time at the moment, but I didn't start off full-time. I was still in the Army when I started the company, so I was doing what you were doing back then.
I work full-time at a school, so we just finished homecoming, and that was pretty kind of crazy. So I have a question that's not really related, but are you looking at the camera or looking at us?
I'm looking at us.
Okay, because we're very nice. If I'm looking at the camera and then looking back, so I'm just wondering. Okay, so that's up to date, I guess.
No, I mean, what else did we do today?
We went to that vending events. That might be a question. I can't remember if I put that in there. We went to a vending event. Vending events are, I guess...
it's a way to get your product out there to make
hit or miss. Yeah,
create awareness for your events. But
we've been doing vending events almost
every weekend.
Yeah. And business networking, social events, and always connecting. I got the U.S. pageant. Amber contacted me to go help volunteer in December for the Colorado pageant. So
what is that?
I'll tell you later. There's Amber Turner runs, I think that's her name. She does the U.S. pageants. She's the event coordinator for the United States of America pageants, and so she wants me to go to the Broadmoor.
Like a beauty pageant?
It's like the U.S. pageant, like.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
I'm not a pageant person. So I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if I'm judging, volunteering, I don't know, but she'll do promotional things for Koala, and I'll be helping out and volunteering with the event at Broadmoor she's putting together. So it's all over her Facebook. I can look it up right now, but I'll show you maybe later what that's about.
I should be taking notes. I had a something to say, and then I forgot what I was going to say.
There's other stuff going on right now.
But
it does change week to week. There's always something happening. So the point of this maybe too to document what we're doing and where we're going, and you can see whether or not Koala actually takes off and does well, or just doesn't do well. His goal is millions. So see whether you make that or not.
Right. Yeah, and this is just to document our journey, and it's just we're doing it for fun. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get something out of this, but...
If the one person actually does watch this and leaves a comment, we will answer it, though, right?
Yes.
We will.
Yeah.
So people ask us questions, people are curious about the patent.
Mm-hmm.
How do you come up with the idea? How do you patent it? Where'd you go? And we both have that, and also what you did is different than what I did, and so we kind of both have two different. There's so many different ways, I guess, to do it, but we at least we didn't do the exact same lawyer, the exact same sourcing, the exact same anything really. So we have different sides of what worked for you or what worked for me and stuff. So people ask questions, and then people ask questions sometimes about us because how'd you guys meet? And that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We're not very opposite, so.
We're very similar.
Pretty similar.
Similars attract.
Yeah, I think you're the most similar person I've ever.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a bowl of questions here that people have been asking us. So maybe we should just get to those.
We should maybe get a better bowl.
What is this?
These are questions that people have asked me over the year or so. And Tara put some questions in, so we'll have talking points. So pick a good one. If it's a bad one, then we'll put it back.
Okay. Let's see what's going on there. Manufacturing in China. So how did you source your manufacturer?
Well, I don't know if you did this or not. I don't think I've actually talked to you about, but I was going to be made in America.
I was also.
Yeah.
I called an American manufacturer, and they essentially laughed me off the phone. They were like, "You're not big enough to do business with us."
Yeah.
And they told me I would be infringing on Jockey's patent, which I know for a fact I was not, but I think they just used that as an excuse not to work with me. But it gave me like a bad taste in my mouth about doing business in America, actually.
Well, I had a good experience, I guess, with attempting. So my bags they're magnetic, so I have a magnetic fashion bag. That's the deal with my thing. But so I needed these special magnets, and they needed to be molded. And so after playing with magnets, it took me 8 months to get the magnets right. But I needed a certain kind of magnet, so I researched magnets. We have dogs here. And I called KMJ, I believe, Magnet. It's the largest magnet manufacturer in the United States. And I actually emailed them and called them, and they were surprisingly super nice. And they very politely told me that there is no way that they could make what I was wanting them to make. And they very politely told me that they could guarantee nobody in America could make what I needed them to do. And they told me 100% that I had to go to China. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go to China. I'm part of a Inventors Roundtable, and I went to the next IRT meeting, and I was like, I need to get these magnets, and I need to go to China. And it was a big table that time, and there were a lot of people there, and basically people at the IRT meeting told me that I couldn't source in China. Have you heard the story?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so at IRT, I was told at a meeting of my peers that I could not source in China because for two reasons. One being that I was an American, and one being that I was a woman. And that as a woman doing business in China, and they have this whole story about like when you go to China as a woman business owner, you're normally escorted, or I don't know what word, with a man. So if I were to go to China, I would need to go to China, but I couldn't go as myself. I would have to go with a male.
Like a chaperone.
Yeah, like a chaperone to speak, because these people wouldn't talk to me because I was a woman. And also this was like 2 years ago, and still kind of ongoing. The political climate is kind of tense sometimes. And so just the intricacies of dealing with other cultures and being an American and mostly being a woman. And so there was a guy who's very nice, and if I had the money I would do that, said for $2,000 he would help me source. And I had, I think, probably $38 or something. So I'm like, okay, that's not going to happen. So I basically did what I've always done for the last couple of years, is go online and do a lot of researching. So I work a 9 to 5, and I would come home and I would sit here at the computer all night long just researching. And so I went to Alibaba. And there's a guy that does the Amazing Seller, TAS. He has a podcast on like sourcing in China specifically for brand labeling. So I did a lot of that stuff, and I researched for a week just to send an email as far as like what my title should be. I mean, it's very like, there's a lot involved, so maybe the whole freaking thing about that. But I wrote a template email to source, and I sourced 12 magnet manufacturers. And I had a little spreadsheet of like when I sent the email, how long it took for them to respond to me. Because if you send an email and they respond to you in a week, that's not making me feel confident that they're going to really get back to me. And basically they're like, oh yeah, we can do that for you. Minimum order $50,000, you need $60,000 or something. It was like super like really
out of your range.
It was super out of my range. And then there's this guy named Michael Fang that responded to me, and then he responded to me through WhatsApp. By the way, China will find you on WhatsApp. I don't know how they do, but anyway. So WhatsApp, I guess, if you're communicating with China. And so Michael Fang's a young man, and I believe that he was just recently hired on, somehow got my email and was willing to talk to me and communicated with me. It was very formal and not a lot of personal stuff. Since then, he follows me on Facebook, on Instagram. We check in. So we've actually I think he's like a friend of mine. I've never met him, but that's years. Normally, like they're very very professional in China. You're very formal, I guess, in your interactions with them. And so he was going to do a mold for me for a fraction of the cost. I think it was $600 or $800 comparative to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for molds. And so he did my magnets for me. That's how I got my magnet. He helped me with the CAD and everything, the software, and helped me with the engineering and the designing. So I had the magnets. Didn't have the bags yet. So then I was like, well, maybe my magnets can be made in China, but I'll make the bags here.
Right.
And basically got laughed off. I actually went and met with in Vegas with some U.S. magnet bags, and it would cost me like $70 to make the one. It was ridiculous. I'd have to sell a bag for like $400 to just even make it worth it. So in the end, everything moved to China, and how I found my bags is that's a whole nother story. But
I mean, I would not like downplay the quality that's coming from China these days. In the past, obviously, like in the 80s and 90s, they got a bad rap for putting like lead in children's toys and things like that, but they've since improved dramatically, but probably better than any other country as far as manufacturing. They're at the state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities there now, and and maybe we can get...
They have different grades. There's grade A, B, C, and all the stuff that we're talking about. Like, I am not an expert, and I got lucky with almost everything that I've done. I don't know if it's lucky or just keep on going. If I would have sent my first email and somebody sends me back something, I'd be like, oh, I sourced 12. I contacted 12 magnet manufacturers in China. When they were contacting me back, I didn't just go through Alibaba. I went online. I looked at the website. I actually looked at the picture, read the profile of the guy that I was talking to. So I did a lot of research as much as I could on my end to make sure who I was working with was, legit. And there's different levels. I mean, you're not going to get the best quality for the cheapest price. You're going to have to pick what's more important. Is price more important? Is quality more important? Because it's like anything else.
You got to meet in the middle, though. I mean, you can't. You have to go for quality, obviously, because that's what your reputation is going to be based on. But also, price is obviously a factor.
It's definitely
if you can't
cheaper,
afford
for
it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
I think Americans have not an accurate view of China, and I don't think that China has an accurate view of Americans as well. But you have the whole lead and toys story or whatever that's happening. But from my experience of working with the manufacturers, because I also have a manufacturer for my bags, it's also in China. And I work through a liaison company that's based out of LA too, and China. So I work through a design team, Lucy, who's the general manager of my manufacturer, and she coordinates on the back end, and then I have my manufacturers meet in China. But my experience, is that they take pride in creating a good product, and customer service, they do care, and I have a good relationship with my manufacturers. And you had an email correspondent with your manufacturer today.
Yeah, well, because we got our shipment, and importing from China is a whole other conversation, but I've been doing it since 2013, but this is our most recent manufacturer, and we've been with them since 2014 because we switched in 2014 to the current manufacturer we're with, and they've been great. But as we continue to grow and we release new products and we have more SKUs, which is like barcodes, which is individual items for sale on our website, and so we started with 5 different color options, and now we have 50, I don't even know. And when you add the different color options with the different size options, you end up having all of these different varieties, and it's just getting way more complicated. And we just got our largest shipment ever, and we were missing a particular box, and I was blaming our manufacturer because they didn't package it properly. They didn't wrap the pallets in plastic, so the boxes were all mangled, and it looked like one of the boxes had fallen off, but it turns out that my guys were just kind of rushing the unloading the truck and putting it in our warehouse, and then so one of the boxes got misplaced, and so I was getting onto them for not sending us the box when actually they did send it, and so I had to apologize because I got on to my manufacturer pretty hard because we've been with them for 4 years, and I'm like, we're acting like we're not a priority for you. And they treat me very well, but I actually did not source originally from China. I originally sourced in Pakistan. And the way I was able to, I mean, it's like, how do you find these people? I guess you can search online, but this was back in 2010, so this was a while back. And there's a company, a website called mfg.com, which I believe is short for manufacturing, and they're actually out of Georgia, but what they do is allow you to present your product and ask for suppliers to bid on that, on a contract to produce your product. And so I made a little video. I had to have a prototype made first. So that took, you said it took you like 8 months. It took me
8 months just for the magnets. Yeah.
Well, it took me approximate, similar amount of time going back and forth with a local seamstress here, where she helped me develop my first prototype. Or not my first prototype. I made my first prototype, but then she helped me make it into a real kind of unique design, because I was just taking old underwear and sewing a pouch inside an existing brand of underwear, where we made a completely new prototype out of just
I sent a prototype to LA to send to China, and I put together, it's called a PP, and I pretended like I knew what that meant. That's actually pre-production, so I put my first PP together in like a PowerPoint with taking pictures of how things go. That's like a whole prototype development thing, but it does help when you do have a prototype that you can send to China, and they'll reverse engineer it and often make it better. I spent some time visiting several seamstresses because I needed the magnets to be professionally inserted into the bag. But for me to get the magnets, to buy the bag, to do them all myself and do my own branding with the tags and all this and that, it was going to cost so much money. So my liaison manufacturer that's based in LA is really nice, because they do all the sourcing for me. So I get to pick, like, I like this, or like, you pick everything, and they'll send you maybe like, hey, pick out of these three which one you like that one. And so picking everything from the inside to the outside to how you want it to brand, where do you want it. And so she went and got the mold, because I had to get molds made for the outside branding of the bag. But you can you can source individually everything. Like, you can source individually the tags to be woven in on the inside, and then you can source the outside gold branding molds, and you can do all this stuff. But
and then you would have to have all these different sources, and
they all coordinate together. They do actually, though, considering, like, I just connected the two manufacturers, and it just, it seems, it is a lot, and it's a lot of moving parts, but it actually, it's actually, it's not as scary as I think. It's not as scary or intimidating as what it can seem to be. Like, you just keep, you say no, or they say no, then you find another way to do it, or, oh, that does work, and that's great, and they go for it. But my manufacturer,
they know what they're dealing with. They know that we don't know what we're doing, and they have to hold our hand through this process.
Sometimes. But then when you do check everything off, and you talk about not rushing to production, and we're kind of in production, not sourcing, but I went through 9 pre-productions, got them in hand, approved them all, went through 250, and then had the remaining 60,000, 750 bags done wrong.
Yeah.
So you can still do everything right. The good thing is that when that happened to you, you didn't really, that set you back for years. But I had a liaison backing me in LA that discounted it, and it pushed me back like another 4 months of production time. But
because it was their fault.
It was their fault, but so China's not really all that super evil, bad, hard to work with. I was thinking it might even be harder if I was dealing with something like that in America, maybe. But it is super stressful when you have so much on the line. And but I guess sourcing in China, I went through Alibaba, you went through this other company.
Yeah, mfg.com. And I think I ended up using them again in 2013, but when I put my bid out, and I got bids in, I just got a bunch of emails or whatever. But what ended up happening is somebody called me, and he was from Pakistan, and I told him exactly where I was at. I had no idea what I was doing, and he's like, I will take care of it for you, don't worry. And he did, and I was so grateful that I didn't want to just be over make his job so hard. It was like, I don't know, it was really weird because I wanted to get it going, and I didn't want him to have to do too much because I felt like he was already doing so much. I didn't want to put him through 9 pre-productions. We went through 2 pre-productions, and I was like, this is good. I thought it was great. I thought it was good enough, but it wasn't. And but I couldn't go to him and say, well, you messed this up, because it was me that approved it ultimately. And
they sent me pre-productions. They were right. I approved them, and then they arrived inverted and wrong and completely useless. And
so the magnets were backwards, so when you went to go stick it on something, it wouldn't stick because the magnet was facing the inside.
The magnets are only magnetized on the outside, not on the inside, and it's very clear. It's not like they look the same because they're encased. It doesn't matter, but they handled it. I'm going to handle the dogs real quick, actually. Guys.
Hey.
You were allowed to be in here, now you're being naughty. Come here. This is, you know what? It might be from like a relationship, whatever. So this is my bedroom /
office warehouse
distribution. Everything happens here, and it's a small house, and so. But we might one day have a different house.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the near future, but
it's going to be a little while.
This is another cool part about documenting the process and everything.
Yeah, one day we'll be in our own big mansion. We'll be like millions of dollars flowing in every month, and that presents a whole new set of problems, because now I'm at a stage where we're growing to a level where it's getting really complicated. When you only have 1 or 2 or 4 items to sell, it's like pretty simple, and that's the way you want to start. I think you start with what you can manage, and growing slowly over time allows you to learn the processes and adjust accordingly slowly, instead of just getting dumped into a deep water all at once. It was shallow, and it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. But I've been growing along the way as a businessman, entrepreneur, CEO, leader, and that the fact that it didn't happen overnight has allowed me to develop into what I am today, which I'm still developing. And so this is going to document, I think in a few years you'll see a huge difference in this level of production for this particular YouTube channel, but also our entire operation is just going to be.
I mean, it would be cool if you would have started this. If you would have started it where I am right now.
Yeah.
Where you guys originally started, and the original this, and we met, and I was already just waiting for production. So, when we had met, I'd already gone through everything. But you were here for my first
arrival of inventory.
It wasn't my first arrival. It was the final arrival of all the inventory that had gotten pushed back. And so that was exciting for you to be there. And so, that would have been cool to have that. Imagine that back on July 17th.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a good day, too,
that was
to
the best
have
day.
that. So
that was our first official day of...
That's the day that we decided that we were officially together. So, But how cool would that be to, even look back then?
Well,
and a lot of things have come.
We're trying to backtrack from my business. We're going back and collecting all the documentation, videos, and pictures and everything. We're making a documentary to show the process and the journey and the growth, but they would have been cool to have this started back then. But I think it's cool that we're starting it together.
Yeah,
it's different.
My business, when I originally started, kind of went up, and I don't have the time to even really invest into it. So it's forced slow organic growth, and there's always options. So things are going to change, I know, in the next year, and so I don't really know how it's going to go, what it's going to look like, and it might just stay like this, which that would kind of suck if that's the case.
You're growing faster than I started. Obviously, in 2010, we probably sold 1 pair a week at best.
I'm not even, maybe average, but I've had 10 sessions. I'm looking at my website's up. I have 10 sessions today.
And no purchases. And we've had 13,000 visits, and about, we're making, not 13,000, 1,300, and that's where we're at for the day, which is actually
low. And I've had 93 orders online.
Total. But you've sold a lot at
vending and things like that, yeah. So that's only counting the
in
stuff,
person. But so real quick tip, don't, you have to be patient when you first start. So don't think it's going to happen overnight. I have this book here. It's called The Power List. It's by the MFCEO. You can check out his website and his podcast. Super cool. Because, and one of the things is like, don't try to do it all in one day. Pick 5 things that you can do each day and cross them off. And if you do that every day, 5 times 365, you're making a lot of progress throughout the course of the year. Because some people aren't patient enough to endure this process. I believe I have beat a lot of statistics when it comes to a business in operation, because most businesses fail within the first 6 months, and we've been in business for over 5 years, and if you count it all, like 10 years. I was very adamant about sticking to it, because I know that if you quit, it's over, but if you stick to it, you'll find a way, and you just figure it out.
And I think that I definitely not like an expert sourcing in China or any of this stuff, but I've learned kind of who to go to. And I also know that when you go and you talk to people, like people maybe have, not even in a negative way, but they have their own, what they think is the most important, and you just have to kind of make sure that you keep true to whatever you think is the most important. Like if somebody, like the Inventors Roundtable is a great source here in Colorado. They meet once a month in Denver and once a month in Colorado Springs. And
but when you presented your idea to them, they told you to come up with a new idea. They said it wasn't good
now
enough.
She's a fan, but yes, when I first presented my idea, they're like, think of something else. So I was like, well, this is kind of the best I got right now. And so I do have a list. But I mean, as far as guidance as where to go next, because you go to business networking events, and been to a lot of them, especially like trying to find, when I was getting to the point of launching, and you meet a lot of chiropractors, you meet a lot of real estate agents, you meet a lot of insurance people, you meet business consultants, and I was like, I need to find somebody that is patented, that I can talk PCT, WTO, CIPs, I can talk all these TMs or whatever, like the terminology for the patents.
Copyrights, patents,
most people
production.
Most people patent license. They don't patent a brand. It's pretty rare. And so I remember actually driving before I met him, and I was like, I just need to meet somebody. It doesn't need to be like a guy that I'm going to fall like in love with or whatever. But and then like he showed up, and so it was pretty cool to. She's so sweet. Yes.
Yeah, and so we met at one of those events, and that's where you meet people that will help you maybe, and not that I'm helping her, but we're helping each other, but get you a lot, further along in your process, because you'll meet other people that are trying to do something similar, hopefully, to what you're doing, and that's what is valuable regarding going to these types of, like networking business meetups.
Just in asking questions, like.
And you get encouragement.
Doing that, yeah. It's hard though for me, especially because I was going to everything by myself, and so I don't have a partner really, and
like
no, I don't have anybody. So just you're walking in with this bag, and what do you do? Like, hey, you were like, so what are you about? I remember when he met me, he's like, whatever. So like, but I was like, you just go, and you have to like kind of put yourself out there in these positions that are uncomfortable and ask questions. And like for me, I'm like just being really honest. Like I'm just kind of like, I'm new, I'm learning, I'm asking. I don't even know if this is a possibility. This might be a stupid question, but like, okay, so now what? And actually just kind of just asking people. And I was noticing along the way that everybody, like, if you have a patent, you have to license, or if you have a patent, you can't source in China by yourself, or if you have this. And for me, not having money, and I haven't, as of this moment, gone into any debt. So I've done everything up to this point with zero debt. And everybody said, oh, you can't do this without a loan. You need to take out a loan. You should take out this on your house. I've sold
2 motorcycles?
3
motorcycles. So that's dedication. I mean, you have to really want it. It's about
drove
desire.
An Uber. So, like, have a roommate.
Yeah.
So I'm doing whatever I can do to fund myself. And, but I mean, like, so all along the way, people are going to tell you, oh, you can't do it. You have to do it this way. And not that you have to do it this way or your way. There's just, finding what you feel comfortable with. And I think the biggest key is just, like, to keep going. And if it's, like, dead in the water, it's dead in the water. But that doesn't mean, like, maybe this is the idea that I wanted to have, but I still want to have something so I continue forward. Maybe this changes shape and goes to another.
It's called pivoting. And
yeah.
Like you bring it to the market, and then they're like, that's awesome, but maybe, could you do this? And it's funny how when you produce a product, everyone they want it, but they want it in a different color, or they want it in a different style.
Yeah,
and so that's when you...
Wait, have you been to Shark Tank?
Yes. You got to go on Shark Tank.
I don't know if you know this or not. Have you thought about this? Have you seen the show?
No, I've never heard of it.
No,
what is that?
Why didn't you go to it?
Well, I actually auditioned for Shark Tank in Austin.
We should maybe have a whole segment of just talking about Shark Tank.
Yeah, I mean, so we wanted to just, for this particular episode, we want to talk about sourcing in China. I've never even been there. You've never been there, but we're both manufacturing there. I think 2019, I think we should go.
I'm going to add some more questions to put in our little question thing, because, that is probably something, one of the most common thing people ask is I'm going to write down Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of some other things as we were talking, more
title.
things to talk about.
Have you been on Shark Tank? I haven't, no, I haven't.
I did audition. Yeah, but I mean, I know people are trying, because that's how people identify with patents or ideas that
well, they're excited about our inventions, and they think that it should be brought to the attention of the world, but they're not going to buy it sometimes. It's like, just buy it. Don't worry about Shark Tank. You buy it. And if everybody that asked me if I was going to go on Shark Tank actually bought a pair of underwear,
I would be doing way better in sales right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's because people don't really meet a lot of people that actually are going to the patent. We're actually patent pending, both of us are. Mm-hmm. We both have a full utility patent. There's 3 types of patents. We can go into maybe a little bit what we know later. But a lot of people, when you're at these business social networking events, you're with other like-minded people that are starting a startup. And I'm not knocking anybody that's doing real estate or whatever they're doing. I think it's great that people are just trying to forge ahead to do something, to be financially independent. But so they're meeting all these people, and you're in a room and you're just talking, so you don't talk to a lot of other people that have that did a patent. And
right. Or are there a lot of, I mean, most people just have a job that's what they do, so they're intrigued by us starting our own business. Yeah. And that's the first thing they think of.
Have you met anybody? I know people, I have a couple friends that have done the private label, and maybe we can add that, what's private label? It's another question there, but anybody that's done private labeling or brand labeling? At any of those events?
I don't know. Although I've considered private labeling our brand, not private labeling, I'm not sure if that's, another company was going to use our design and put their label on it.
That's licensing. But, no, Ryan, I have an angel investor, Ryan's company, it would be considered brand label, private label.
Okay.
And have you ever been to his website? You know what he does a little bit, right? So that's
private labeling.
That's private labeling.
So you just pick say a product that already exists, and you put your brand on it.
Yeah, and you just put your logo on it. So
tires, you pick tires, and then you put
and
tires.
So he does off-roading stuff, and there's nothing really for lights at the time when he was thinking of this for off-roading vehicles. It also gets around DOT, and there's a lot of other stuff involved, and so there were some lights, but they weren't exactly right. They weren't going to be for what he needed them to be on a Jeep to go off-roading, so he took something that already exists, he modified it and made it better, and then he created a brand or a label, and then he put his label and brand on this. So it's not something that you could just go and buy in any store. It was particular to him, but not necessarily patent worthy. And so people that are wanting to do something, even if it doesn't exist, you don't have to patent it.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I have a guy that does batteries. They're called Kick-Ass Batteries out of Australia, and I mean, I'm pretty sure they're just batteries. And he just
you can't patent something it's intellectual property at the point. The thing is, you can't say, okay, now I want to patent it. If you actually publicize a website or anything, make it any kind of public. Yeah, then it now becomes intellectual property to the public, and you can't even patent your own idea. That's something maybe another podcast later. But I've never even met. Well, a guy I work with used to sell socks, just compression socks, and so he put a logo on compression socks. Thing is that the compression socks weren't really unique enough to really stand out. So there has to be a niche or something. But that's a way around kind of doing something similar that we're doing outside of the patents. So. But
I mean, branding. Maybe write that down. Branding. I mean, because we are focused more on branding. We are going for the patent strictly for protection, but you want to create your own brand and image and like the way you come across to people, like a lifestyle brand, and get people interested in your product based on that. If it's not a unique product, which ours is unique, and we're focusing heavily on branding, and we have a story that, you know, where I was in the Army and I came up with the Army when I was in Iraq, and then the journey and the trials and overcoming obstacles, and so that
definitely in this whole topic of branding, labeling, developing, sourcing, prototype development, all that stuff. So I think this is why we have a lot of information to talk about. We were supposed to be staying with China,
sourcing
and we
in China.
kind of deviated. And there's still so much probably more to even talk about sourcing in China. I know that I wanted to give some advice.
I mean, you can go to mfg.com if you don't have any other options. That for me, that was a very simple
Alibaba
way.
is pretty. And then I went to a thing in Vegas where they have a source center, and there were 74 countries there, and it was basically like walking through an online Alibaba. It was really discouraging, but I think that when you're dealing with China, I think that you should have an open mind about it. I don't think that you should like have that kind of, oh, they're going to screw me over kind of thing. Like people are, oh my god, you're going to China. Like that's the worst thing. I think that's really.
I hate when people ask me, where's it made, and I almost feel like ashamed to say China
because of the stigma that's attached with it. But I think sourcing in China, source 12, at least 6. And
Apple products are made in China. It says designed in California or designed in America, but they're made in China, and it's the best product.
I love my manufacturer too, my magnet guy. Like honestly, my product would have taken so much longer to be where it was at because he totally helped me get where I'm at as far as helping me he did all the CAD for me. He figured it out. My magnets, the molds weren't right because I'm not an engineer, don't have a degree in math or whatever, and so he helped me with that. So if it wasn't for this guy in China, I wouldn't be doing, like, that was so early on. I remember messaging him while I was in Vegas, and you know, he didn't know exactly what I was doing things for. Like, he didn't know actually what the magnets were for until I actually went public because I wanted to make sure.
Did you make him sign a non-disclosure?
No, but I wanted to make sure that I'd filed for my full utility and it could be protected in court. But so he didn't really know what he was doing. But he was, you know, I just think that when you go to China, source at least 6, and then another thing that I would really recommend is to have an open mind and also learn about their culture. Like when they ask you, I hope, like, have you eaten? Like they don't really want to know what you've eaten. They just, like, that's just a formality of like, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
You know, and then when you talk to them and they say okay, you think, oh, that means yes, they heard me. Like that doesn't mean yes, and that doesn't mean they agree with you, and that doesn't mean that they can do it. That just means like you said something and I'm acknowledging that you said something. Not that they agree with it, not that it means yes. And just be like, not like don't be the label of the American that's like, well, like, and don't be a dick.
And I do that sometimes, but I apologized, and because
don't do that.
Get frustrated. Yeah, don't do that. But then she apologized to me, so you can humble yourself, and they'll be reciprocal also if anything is ever like if there's any tension involved, because you're doing business with someone and you have all of your reputation, your money is on the line, and so you can sometimes get stressed out.
And their reputation and their money is also on the line too. So a good deal isn't when you like take everything from them. A good deal is like you did good, they did good. It's a good deal, and everybody leaves at the end of the day feeling good. It's not like you're going to try to take them or they're going to take you or anything like that. But I think people get overly paranoid about that. And there's ways to protect yourself when you're dealing with China too, with trade insurance. A lot of the manufacturers have trade insurance. So when you're sourcing on Alibaba, there's things that you can look for to see how long they've been in business, how many orders they can fulfill a year. Do they have a website? You can go look at their website. Are they actually a liaison to another manufacturer? Are you dealing with direct manufacturing? When I was manufacturing in China with the magnets, I've got video after video, because each process along the way, my manufacturer was taking pictures and videos. Mm-hmm. And so he would send me pictures of the magnets, and he was sending me pictures of the molds, and then he was sending me pictures of them being plated, and then he was sending me and then he was, as they were done, he's sending me pictures of them as they were finished. He sent me
all digitally.
I mean, like you don't actually have to be there, and then
right.
He put them in a box, and he took a picture of the box, so I knew how they were being packaged. And so, like, there's a lot of things that go along the process that made me feel like really comfortable. And I think that and then you develop a relationship with the manufacturer, and at the end of the day, like, they have family that they're feeding, and they want to do a good job. They're very proud too.
Well, they want you to return business most of the time. But
sometimes they're just like, I'm so little, like I'm like nothing to them.
Yeah, but like what you said about making sure you find like 6 manufacturers and get them all sourced, get prototypes from each one, which is a lot of work. I didn't do that either, but like, and that was the problem with my second manufacturer. I've had 3 total. I'm on my third, and she said try 6. I've only done 3, and I'm with the third one.
No, I'm at source as far as like communicate which one you're going to go with, and sometimes you can ask for them to make a prototype for you. Understand that it costs their money, their time, and you're going to pay for shipping. So don't expect all this stuff to be free, and my molds were expensive, so I couldn't go get molds made in every manufacturer. Like, I just needed to be done right.
Well, I had my prototypes were sent to me for free. Like, they sent me my prototypes for free.
My bags were, but not my magnets. Okay. But they did a mold and they did they did a test order of 50. So I had 50 magnets originally set for me before I ordered thousands or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody. People are going to want different things, but I think that you should just be respectful and be clear, and also be polite. Like, when you email them, be like, when are they going to be ready? Like, I'm always like, hello, I hope you're having a good evening. Like, they really want the formality is important for their culture. And I think when you're just dealing business internationally anywhere, to just kind of understand the cultural of what culture stuff.
Yeah, you actually studied Chinese culture. I did not at all. I was just like,
it took me a week, 1 week to send an email, because the whole titling thing, like, I didn't want to say I was owner, CEO, or whatever, because that doesn't sound legit. So I wasn't lying, but also I'd filed for the provisional and did the back end of the utility, but I didn't want them to know exactly what I was doing, because I was still figuring it out myself. And at that point, they could have, gone public before I could have ever done that. So my manufacturers actually didn't know what I was doing until it was like done. But no, with the bags, they sent me 7 free, and I didn't pay for any of them. I mean, I'm sure at the end you pay for it all, but I got 7 bags in my hand, and they sent me 4 of them, because I picked through a catalog for the bags, and I'm like, oh, I like these, and then they made them for me, and then they shipped them to me. I might have paid for shipping, I don't even know if I did, and they were crap. Like, I was like, these are the ugliest things I've ever seen. Like, no way. So then I went through another pre-production, and then I'm like, yes. And then, anyway, but you're dealing with a business. And I always say the world is flat.
It is now.
Because
flat earth theory. Conspiracy. Anyways.
It's not a conspiracy. Well, not the conspiracy part, but that you can actually do work with somebody in China. And I felt very involved in the process, even though I'm in America and they're in China with, I feel like I got lucky with my manufacturer willing to work with me and being very, I message him and I email him, but mostly through WhatsApp. I've never, I think, waited longer. I mean, and I know that when I get off work,
to him,
it's morning.
Right? No. It's all like email.
I talked to the other manufacturer.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Right.
But, and there's several of those, but whenever I send him a message or a question, I've never waited, I've never waited longer than 6 hours for a response, and normally within the first hour he's responding.
Well, you got to know that they're on a different time zone.
Well, so I know. I'm not going to message. I'm not going to
response by the morning.
Yeah, if I messaged him right now, I'm sure he would respond to me.
Right. Yeah.
Right away. But if I'm going to email him in the morning when I wake up, knowing that I'm probably not going to get a response until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at my night. So just like an awareness, and you're not in a bubble, and I don't know. I just don't think it's as complicated. It was very intimidating for me.
Yeah. But you can do it, and
talk to people that have done it, ask questions.
Yeah, post some questions on here. I actually honestly think that if we title it Sourcing in China, we'll actually get some views on this.
Sourcing in China.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe we need, if people had more questions, we can ask and answer more questions. Or if you've sourced in China and you have a positive or negative story, or if you had some different advice to give, because we didn't touch on everything, like definitely. I've only done this for what?
A minute. Few years.
I've been doing it for a few years.
And she's still like not getting sales every day, and that's the type of thing where you might be like, why am I even doing this?
Well, the whole sourcing is so my idea was in 2015. I patented in 2016. 2007 to 2018 were sourcing in China and prototype development, and maybe we can have some stories about late nights slicing open bags, or you sitting there sewing underwear.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing is fast, nothing is easy, especially raising a daughter, being everything by myself. I don't have a partner really to like.
Yeah, you have a full-time job.
Volunteering, house, mowing the grass, like taking care of things. So
she like is a foster dog type of, what is it?
I do.
Foster dogs.
Although I've stepped back just because it's been kind of crazy. But I mean, yeah, it's just all like a.
You have your whole life, and like to add this new project, it's time consuming and it takes patience, and you just have to do what you can each day to make one step forward, but know that it's not going to happen overnight. You know.
Well, we've been talking for 50 minutes,
and so we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you very much for staying this long.
If you
please,
do.
Yeah, please post questions, share it if you want, and subscribe.
We got more questions will be asked.
Yeah.
Don't know what questions, it'll be somewhat spontaneous.
Yeah, we thought maybe we would get through more of those, but maybe we do one question.
No, I think we just do
show.
one question, because I think, and we could even have different aspects of sourcing, like finding manufacturers and how to source, and how many prototypes, and how many people do you, like all these kind of questions and stuff. But
and funding, you know, how you got funded, how I got funded.
Yeah,
so
I think I do have funding, but I'll make sure I'll write a question in there.
So we'll get to that in a future episode. Thank you for joining us. If you're an entrepreneur, stay with it. If you're an inventor, stick with it. Maybe, you know, might find other inventors. Look up the Inventors Roundtable. Maybe there's one in your city or state that you can join up with. We're in Colorado Springs. If you're in the area, you know.
Stacy, Merrick Avum, Facebook. Robert Patton, Facebook.
Bobby the Bank on Instagram.
Stacy Designer on Instagram.
And yeah, just...
and we might be doing another platform for people to reach us or whatever. And I just want to like emphasize that not a professional in this, but I can at least tell you maybe what not to do or what really didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Or what did work for me.
And as time goes on, we're going to get more experience. We're going to have more knowledge to share. So just, you know, tune in and we'll share what we know and what we've learned.
Yes.
So, all right.
All right.
Signing off.
Bye.
Take care.